Morning. Here in South Carolina again. Beautiful day. Got a little rain last night. It was much needed. Super dry down here. I was going to post shoot this video last night, and I was exhausted, so y'all forgive me. And for those of you that may be curious why I always wear the same shirt in my videos, these are my pajamas. So anyways, all right, so this is just gonna be a quick one. I was really making this video for a particular individual. Just a lot easier for me to explain myself, I guess, through video than it would be to leave a mile-long comment. But Mia, this is for you. So there was, in reference to the video that you posted that you wanted me to see, I don't know a great deal about the EIN numbers and banking. I know that Christopher Hauser a year ago or so had taken a hiatus from all of this to explore some banking options. I was reading the Federal Reserve Act. I started it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or something. And at the very beginning of the act, at number 2, it gives the definition of a bank. I'm gonna share that with y'all. Wherever the word bank is used in this act, the word shall be held to include state bank, banking association, and trust company, except where national banks or Federal Reserve banks are specifically referred to. For purpose of this act, a state bank includes any bank which is operating under the code of law for the District of Columbia. All very, very interesting terms to be throwing around with wherever the word bank is used. So we keep all this in mind. The word shall be held to include state bank, banking association, and trust company. So I got to thinking about that, and I looked up the term trust company. And in my 7th edition Black's Law, trust company is defined as a company that acts as a trustee for people and entities, and that sometimes also operates as a commercial bank. And then at the bottom of it says see title. All right, point I'm getting at is I've learned in all of this studying that I have many hats, especially when in reference to law. So what I mean when I say I have many hats is I go into the closet, I look at all these hats, and depending on what hat I put on that morning depends on the role I play, especially in the legal realm. I'm saying this to say, when you read any of this stuff or learn new laws and new codes, new statutes, or I have to distinguish the hat I'm wearing when referring to that particular law hummingbirds are out. They're so awesome. They always come down here to see me first thing in the morning. They're really kind of funny. You might get to see them spar in the back. Anyways, okay, so back to my roles. I got to figure out which role I'm playing. It was really easy for me to distinguish this in the Federal Reserve Act, and the reason being is because of the whole trust company. And you know, I guess you could probably say that the stuff I post is maybe a little bit more on the advanced level. You have got to wrap your head around the thought that your Social Security account is just that. It's a trust. It's got a particular name in all caps, and because of that all caps name, it's a fictitious entity. Once you can grasp that that is a fictitious entity, you can also make it a little bit easier for you to grasp the concept that that entity can be anything under the sun. It is, what was that movie with Bruce Willis, The Jackal? Something like that. I mean, you're basically, you can be anything it wants you to be. It's a fictitious entity. It's make-believe. And in a make-believe realm, I can be anything I want to be. I can be the princess, I can be the pea, I can be the pauper. I mean, I can be the damn mattress. It doesn't matter. I'll take on this role and become whatever the law says I need to be. So when I'm reading law, just because it doesn't say the man or person, or it's a person being redefined as it has opened up things to where they have to specifically break down the definition of the word bank in law. Trust company was a giveaway to me. So a little bit deeper into where I'm going with this, so that you can kind of understand what it is I'm saying, Mia. The Federal Reserve Act, it refers to banks, but you got to keep in mind, a trust company can act as a bank. And because we all have Social Security numbers and Social Security accounts, we also are members of trust companies. Thus, the entire Federal Reserve Act has everything in the world to do with each individual who has a Social Security number and a named account. They are a trust company. The things that are stated in the Federal Reserve Act, even though it refers to banks, refers to your trust company entity. In other words, you're supposed to do everything that it says you're supposed to do. I don't know all the processes. This is definitely stuff that would have to be dove into and researched, and you know, the paperwork would have to be completed. I don't know a whole lot about this. I do know this. I've read enough of this Federal Reserve Act to know that we can not only become private banks, but we can become private banks affiliated with the Federal Reserve. And I think that that process would be very easy for us to accomplish solely because of the fact that we are this trust company entity. I don't really know if I'm breaking things down, or if I'm telling you something that you already know. I like the video you posted, and actually I really enjoyed the speaker Very no bullshit, very no nonsense, informative individual he was. Um, look, I have posted my my email address in many of these. Of course, the Cell Nasersha, that is also a Gmail account. You could email it, I guess, if you wanted to. I don't really ever check that account very often. Um, the other address that I've posted in comments to people is definitely one that gets looked at regularly. Um, if I'm not sharing, I really don't. I don't know what the question was, but I can share that much with you. I have to understand the role I take anytime I read anything legally. Um, Sometimes there's a little bit of BS that goes in with that. It's like you got to really read and reread and then reread it again and then, read it to your mom so that she can hear it and maybe give you some pointers. Um, to figure out the role that you're supposed to be playing in this particular law. Um, there are ways that we can become banks, private banks. I honestly believe that there are things out there that would open up a lot of doors for us financially. I've been reading, or no, I'm sorry, I've been watching Brandon Joe Williams quite a bit here lately because he's been putting out a lot of stuff. And they've been having a lot of success with the things that he's been teaching. But, he's turned me on to a fella by the name of Monza. And I've watched like 2 of his videos. Apparently he charges for the information he provides. So I don't know if it's anybody I'm going to be really getting deep into because, the information's free, and I'm not afraid to pick up a stack of papers and print off from the library and start reading stuff, But this guy Monza, he's apparently had a lot of success with the Bill of Exchange, and to hear Brandon Joe Williams tell it, the guy lives completely off of credit cards, and he doesn't send in his Federal Reserve notes to compensate those debts. He apparently just uses the Bill of Exchange Act. He breaks down some of this stuff, and to listen to him break it down is he grasped this concept that you have to understand the role that you play. And he also made a point that, Congress was trying to help us. Now, I don't know about all that, but the more and more I read things, I really do have to wonder, was all this designed in a fashion to create a big secret, or was it just overthought so much that you almost have to have your little decoder ring in order to figure out who it is you are in some of these laws that have been passed? I don't know. I wish I had all the answers, but I obviously don't. Learn who you are. And if you don't know who you are, learn who you can be when it comes to law. But you really need to know who you are. It's once you understand who you are, it makes it a whole lot easier to grasp this concept of, okay, well, in this particular law, I'm a bank. In this particular law, I'm a trust company. In this particular law, I am considered a corporation. In this particular law, I am considered ex-convict. Uh, I'm really trying to utilize all the tools I've been given as best as possible. Meaning, I have a social security number, I have an all caps name, and then I have my living man identity. Of these three, it's almost as though I've got a phone booth I drag around with me. I can jump into and turn it to Superman anytime I want. And I'm grasping and understanding this in the light that, okay, this is really opening up a lot of doors for me. So as far as the private banking thing. I've asked questions on in reference to the food stamps and stuff because a lot of people will argue that, well, you can't receive food stamps if you're claiming you're a state national. Well, here's the thing: is the food stamps aren't for me; it's for the trust. I don't need the food stamps. The trust needs the food stamps. So if I can get the trust the food stamps and it's in the best interest of the trust, and the trustees should give the food stamps to that account. I haven't got all this stuff worked out quite yet, but I tend to believe that it's like all of these this is stuff that's it should be available to us, and I'm gonna learn how to capitalize on all that. And I'm not just talking food stamps. I mean, if there's a way I could be a bank and it's gonna open up a lot of doors for me, I would bank. I would be a bank based off what I'm reading out of the Federal Reserve Act. It's almost required that we do a lot of the stuff in this act. We're supposed to fill these things out this way. I remember when I first started reading up on this birth certificate information. There was a guy that posted a video, and he had an old birth certificate. I think it was like a Midwestern state, but it was interesting because there was actually a process in state law in the state that this guy was born in that he had to undergo, and if he didn't go through this process, there was actually a penalty of jail time and fines. And it had something to do with verifying the birth certificate and separating the identities of the birth certificate and the living man. And of course, these were old laws, and they got swept up under the rug, and no one knew them. But it was just interesting to me that when all of this stuff came out, this law was actually passed mandating that you take your birth certificate after the birth and you go down here to the courthouse and you file some paperwork and you do some bullshit and you separate your physical self from the birth certificate. In other words, you come out and you're saying to the state, hey, yo, this is the man here. This not this fictitious entity that's on this piece of paper. So I don't know if that helps or answers any questions. I will say this: I'm kind of curious, and I don't know what you're dabbling in, honey, and where you're getting your information. But seriously, I'd like to know a little bit more and see what you got going on, where you're going with all this. You got my email. If you need my email, just make a comment that you want my email. I'll put it down. Drop it in your replies, or hell, I may just go up there. I don't know. I don't mess with these phones a whole lot, man. I just got better shit to do than play on the phone all day. So I don't really do a lot with these pages as far as like the bells and whistles are concerned. But anyways, I hope that this helps you. And if you have any other questions or whatever, just drop them in the box. I'll get to you as soon as I can. I appreciate y'all's time this morning. Thank you.